Hey, what's up, guys? This is Shawn Xavien,
And the storyteller.
and we make up one half of the Hot Seed podcast. And this is Hot Takes, where we come in and give our takes on whatever we deem is hot. And of course, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Hot Seed Podcast and subscribe to the show. We new here. That's all we're going to do. Our first hot take, a bombshell, something I've been waiting on for quite some time, as have many of you. James Gunn finally came about and gave us the plan that we've been asking for since the Snyderverse, to be honest.
Now, wait before you get too deep into this. For those of you that don't know, the man that's talking, was just talking, Mr. Shawn Xavien himself, is Mr. DC as we know him. He's everything DC. I'm Mr. Marvel. Now, it doesn't mean either one of us don't like either side. We definitely like both sides. But let's just say Mr. DC hasn't had much to talk about in the last couple of years. So, and those things that he was about to talk about, obviously, they're ending. So,
Pretty much.
so I know he's excited about pretty much this announcement. I am too. So you can take it from there.
All right. So, in that case, guys, let's see what James has to talk about.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time.
Yes,
and
it
it's
has.
one of our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected
Finally.
in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent,
I wonder if they
played
will
by
have
the same
CW part of
actors,
this.
and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like
The CW.
Matt Reeves' Batman,
Yes.
or Todd Phillips' Joker, or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly
Gotta love it.
labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. And Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have
I like his hair.
Shazam,
I ain't
Fury
gonna
of the
lie to you.
Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a
So let's stop right there. So,
All right.
and you said I thought I was going to have something to talk about because you just saw what Dwayne Johnson gave us with Black Adam. For those who don't know, Black Adam is the arch enemy of Shazam. So you would have thought that there would have been some tie-in between the two. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry. But you know, Henry Cavill as Superman, he showed up at the end of Black Adam. So, and if you guys been watching the blog lines and everything else, Henry Cavill has come in for a meeting, as well as Dwayne Johnson, and it's all but being said. Well, we know the Black Adam is not going forward. Yeah, he's not going forward. So the fact that Shazam is still in there is, I like that movie. I really did like the first one. I've seen the trailer for the second one, but I like where he's headed. I hate to see that unless they recast it, but I would hate to see if that Black Adam doesn't make his way back.
But that's what I'm saying. Notice what he's saying. He's already been an outcast, so it's easy to pull him in.
Right.
So if you remember at the end of the original Shazam,
Right.
you didn't see a face to Superman.
No.
So they can do anything.
True.
It's an open book. I know what you saw at the end of Black Adam where we thought it was going to go. But yeah, you didn't see a face. So he can go anywhere. He can do whatever he wants to do. And that's the genius of James Gunn.
Yeah.
The thing I like already, the way he's leading off with it, is the fact that he understands that everything needs to be connected. He just came from a world through the MCU of everything is connected, and that's why everybody is touching on, whether it's the TV shows, jumping over to even some of the games into the actual MCU. That's what DC needed to do in the first place. They've always felt like they were playing catch up, and I'm like, why are you doing the catch up thing? So
yeah, and now he's going into the Flash. So let's see what else he got.
fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. And then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So
hold on.
I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started.
This is where I'm about to get confused. Okay, I just want to touch. I'm glad the breakdown or the framework that he's about to get. But like you said, you got Shazam, the second Shazam. You got the Flash with Ezra Miller. We're not even going to go into all his stuff, but it's supposed to reset the DCU.
I saw something. I don't know if he said it. Maybe James Gunn did see it, and I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I read something. Literally, it might have been him. That says it's one of, if not the greatest comic book film he's ever seen.
He definitely said it. He said it.
Right.
No, I'm not questioning the movie. It has to be great because remember, these are the same people that saw what was it that they dumped?
You talking about Batgirl?
Batgirl. Yeah. Whole movie done and they just dumped it. So obviously The Flash was a really, really, really good movie. And I'm not questioning that. But my thing is this. Watch the breakdown. He said it's resetting the DCU, right?
Yep.
Now, Blue Beetle, that hasn't been introduced.
Right.
But then you got Aquaman too. How does The Flash reset the DCU? And then you're in a storyline that's already been there with the same character and the same person playing them.
You're the Flashpoint?
No, but I'm saying, where is it gonna go? Are you introducing because Henry Cavill's out? So Jason Momoa is continuing? And Gal Gadot?
The Flashpoint storyline is how they reset this to something else. So
with the same person on some.
See,
you get what I mean? I can understand Aquaman could be there, but I'm like, you're doing it with the same. Okay, just go ahead. Go ahead. Let me hear him.
We gonna see how he has a plan
to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be.
We're gonna be old as hell by the time this comes out. Right now, I'm gonna tell you that 8 to 10 years
is called Gods and Monsters. What I'm about to tell you is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter.
That's a lot.
The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
So I'm going to admit that as big as of a DC fan that I am, I'm not familiar with these particular characters, but what I think is dope is the fact that the same actors are going to be voicing the animated characters, so it gives you some cohesiveness. I do like that part. So yeah.
The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis.
First of all, Viola Davis don't look like that, so I don't even know.
Stop. Go, man.
She don't,
I'm not staying on this.
She don't look like.
I'm not staying on this.
God.
Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol.
I like
it is a fantastic story.
I really do like James Gunn's hair. I'm kind of jealous.
I can't wait for people to see it. Okay. Next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU.
Okay.
This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
Jesus Lord. So that's only 2 years away, I guess. But what I heard is
yes and no. But go ahead.
Yeah, this isn't an origin story. Thank goodness, because we know how this happens. So we're not getting another origin story. So
But it's supposed to be But it's supposed to be a younger Superman.
We gonna see.
Because that was part of the thing of why they didn't what they were talking about with Henry Cavill.
And that's the thing. That's the same problem you will have with Black Adam from Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson is 50 years old in real life, even though you don't really know it. So,
well, once again, how old is Jason Momoa?
He's not 50 years old.
No. I'm saying with Henry Cavill and stuff. How old is Jason Momoa?
I think maybe just presenting them at a younger points in their life. So Jason Momoa still looks young. He has that Samoan blood in him, or wherever he is. Same thing with Dwayne Johnson. But if you're talking about an 8 to 10 year plan, that would literally put him like at almost 60 years old. At some point, gravity gonna hit and the muscles ain't gonna look the same. Just saying.
Premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan.
Finally.
And we have a few other lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of
like
Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU.
That's what I'm talking about.
Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters. We are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters.
So I feel like this one here, this gives me Guardians vibes, because I knew nothing about, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is what it gives me, those type of vibes, which if he can replicate the same success off of that with the right actors, you know, we got something going.
I mean, but this is what he does. You know, it's not like he doesn't have the track record for it. Like you said, Guardians, nobody knew so much about him. And now you fell in love with them to the point that you're like, wait a minute, that might be going. So yeah, that's the beauty of it.
The one thing that everybody, if you guys didn't catch at the beginning, this is not all feature films. It's animation, it's animated properties and movies.
Right.
So similar to what Star Wars does. If you go watch the Clone series, that ties you into the movie. Like all that stuff is interconnected. So from the films to the video games to the Clone Wars, all that is tied into Star Wars, and he's kind of taking that same approach. So you can, like, I think MODOK, I guess on the Hulu thing, I think that kind of tied in. It did at least introduced you to him going into
you know who he was,
Ant-Man. So if they're playing the
and
same
they had
line,
it already on the TV series with like Agents of Shield and stuff like that,
which makes sense because there's some characters I feel like you can do an animated project for them or have a bunch of CGI in the film and it still don't come out right. You can spend because hell, that's most of their budget. That's literally most of their budget. Look how much money they spent on Black Adam, which is kind of why they were saying that, you know, he didn't come back to, you know, so I guess.
The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is a story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman.
I'm liking it.
It's almost like
a lot of death going on there.
But with all of the inhabitants.
It's be like Game of Thrones, like Game of Thrones.
The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold.
That's what I'm talking
about. The Brave and the Bold
is
the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line. And so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family.
Now, stop for a moment. So how dope is that? Because they really thought this through. You already have Matt Reeves, the Batman, okay? And we skip past the whole Batman against Batman thing, because that's the thing I was scared about, that you would have the Batman going on in his detective mode, and you tell in the beginning, and then all of a sudden you have another one kind of doing the same thing, but it's in the DCU, and I guess we call it now the other one being the Elseworld or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was fearful of the fact that I was like, so are you competing with yourself? But if you're going the route of a storyline that has never even been presented before, and him coming across more of a father figure because this is his son, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. So
I'm so they like, to your point, they literally are going to give you, like, you have different Earths, but they have two completely different stories going on, and we're finally getting a Batman that didn't have it didn't have George Clooney in it. Well, now he's old in his case, and my God, what's the Chris O'Donnell playing, a really Robin. Like, he's been what's been missing. We've been getting hints, and they've teased us, like when we saw Batman versus Superman. Well, actually, it was Justice League, I think it was. So they showed his concept. So
even at the end of Dark Knight, and we sat back and we are like, oh, here we go.
Right.
We got the run with Robin, and then it was over.
Right. And we actually may see some actors from the current Marvel space, because he also said that he's not opposed to working with actors who have, done work in the Marvel space. He said, as long as they're good actors, I don't care where they come from. So you could kind of see them doing that.
He's gonna have to do that because there's already some DC actors talking to Marvel. So
Henry
Jason
Cavill.
Momoa.
Henry Cavill is one of them, I believe.
Go ahead.
DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating
I gotta get up on
guy.
my comics because I have no
He's a
idea who the
loser
hell
from
Booster
future
Gold is.
who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character. Yep. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about. A very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And
you remember the old Swamp Thing show?
Yes.
Like you remember the old one?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get something a lot. I mean, this was an early time in life, but
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have the things that. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the early Batmans, I mean, Adam West and the Messiah, but everything else, you're like, I don't know what we got. The old Captain America stuff on the Marvel side, even. You can say what you want about Christopher Reeve. It wasn't my cup of tea. I'm just saying.
Man.
I'm just saying, man. I don't know.
And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the story.
I like it.
Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now.
What a plan.
I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique.
Thank you.
Something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
So let's get right into it. Right. Okay. You know, something that I love already is actually the way he ended it. Yes. He said a key word that I always bring up, and I just don't understand it from DC up to this point.
Right.
And that's the word of storytelling.
Yep.
The thing with James Gunn that you get, especially even from this video, because Kevin Feige is the master of this too. You could tell he's a true fanboy.
Yeah.
Forget all the professionalism.
Since he was a kid,
you're dealing with a fanboy that doesn't want to mess up the story. Yeah, you could focus on the fact of these theatrics and this type of graph, all this other CGI, this blah blah blah. If that story is not right, it's not getting up there.
Yeah,
we're gonna stop it right in its tracks, no matter what character you're trying to present. So that's what excites me pretty much more than anything. He truly has a respect for the storyline of these characters. If you notice something in particular, when he's talking about some of these stories and these characters, he's pulling them from different books and comic books and things like that. And he didn't say he's going to give his own take on it. He's taking that storyline,
the source material.
That is what people want. Yes. They're like, I want to see this on screen.
Yeah.
I don't want you to take this and then give your interpretation and then mess it up when you put it on screen. I want this on screen, and that sounds like what he's going to do.
And that's a very important part because a lot of the failures of some of the film has been the director, and there was no oversight. There was no accountability. I feel like some of the directors like, I'm going to give my take on this, and it hasn't worked more times than not. Like, they've even look at Christopher Nolan. His take on it was a different look, but it still gave you almost like that realism, the way he shoots things, which was kind of dope, but it gave you a fresh new appeal. But then you got certain things when directors give their take, and then what they doing is they hide their own agendas in the film.
Yeah.
Case in point, Wonder Woman 1984. Need I say
I'm not going there.
Yeah, but I'm saying, need I say more? So when you do that, it's like, look, man, I get it. Like you interpret it this way, but the source material is the source material, and of course, you have to adopt certain things to make sure it plays well in a feature film space. But it's not like it's you know, you don't have to stray so far away to where we don't even recognize what the film is.
Right. I agree.
I'm excited, man. Either way, I'm excited. Like I said, look, I'm just gonna start taking me some Geritol, whatever I need these next 8 to 10 years, all the film and movies and animation I can watch. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, man.
DC,
So
I'll be waiting.
I'm Shawn Xavien. He's the Storeyteller. This is the Hot Seat Podcast. Hot takes. Yo, catch y'all next time.